the area that you want to target sellers in, and thinking about the 15-mile minimum radius is a good starting point, because usually I try to tell people the best, most accurate way you can kind of tap into Facebook is consider the pin drop, because with the pin drop, you can move that pin wherever you want, but 15 miles is where you are. So essentially, if you're near the water or mountains, etc., you can kind of hack it a little bit. But we're going to kind of show you a few different ways of targeting. If you're in Canada, you get to target whoever you want, wherever you want.
Lucky Canadians.
I feel like I need to get on my virtual background game.
I think
we've got some pretty good, awesome virtual background.
Yeah, you can change your background there, Ira. A little boring.
Yes.
Try it out. We need to get this rolling. Ira, why don't you take it off?
For sure. So this webinar is kind of just an overview. So you came to this webinar because of a couple different reasons. So you're like, am I in the right place? Let's figure out if you're in the right place. So at StreetText, we're basically wanting to show you a demo of what StreetText is. So either you started a trial, you connected to your Facebook account, you thought, wait a second, I don't want to connect to my Facebook account yet. What's this all about? I want to learn more. Perhaps you went a little bit further, you connected to your Facebook account. You might even have launched an ad and even seen the lead come in. And now you're thinking, now what? Or you haven't started a trial, you're just investigating StreetText. So we just want to kind of give you an overview of what StreetText is so that you can use the tool and see if it's something that's going to benefit you. We really just want to make sure that it's a fit. This is all about making sure that if you're going to use it, let us show you how to use it to its best capacity. And then you can decide whether this is something that's going to propel you in the coming months and years, and work with us on that. So, we're living in something called the attention economy. Do you realize how hard it is to get people's attention nowadays? How's your attention span? Have you already wandered in the last 3 seconds? You're looking at something go by. It's really hard to keep people's attention. In fact, the human attention span is less than a goldfish now. They've done studies and they've shown that we have an attention span less than a goldfish. So where are people living? They're living on social media. So when they're on social media and they're on their phones, and more than ever with what we've just gone through, if we're going to meet new people, we have to go where people are hanging out, and they're hanging out on social media platforms. The problem is we're not looking to meet people that you already know, people already in your friends list, people that already are liking you on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you are. We want to meet new people. And if you want to get in front of new people in your area, it requires you to use the Facebook Ads Manager. Who is friends with the Facebook Ads Manager? Who has used the Facebook Ads Manager before? I would not say we're friends, I would say we're foes. The Facebook Ads Manager is also known as the labyrinth of frustration. If you want to pull your hair out, if you want to get very confused, if you want to feel like you're getting nowhere, you attempt to launch an ad on the Facebook Ads Manager. That's the way we look at it. So we've wanted to simplify that. Don't use the Facebook Ads Manager. What you do is you log into StreetText.com. We have already built simple to use templates that have been proven, like a 60 to 67% click to contact ratio, meaning 60 to 67% of people that click on the ad actually leave a form of contact information. Industry standard is anywhere between 3 and 5%. So we've already built the creative. We already know how the templates work. You can launch them simply and effectively from our dashboard, and then have it already linked into all your funnels. So they're automatically going to receive some email messaging from you, which we're really going to reiterate in future get-togethers and with our community about how important it is to capture and grab their attention in those automations. But they're going to receive text automations and they're going to receive email automations from you from that ad. It's already all built in. So one thing that Facebook is always going to do is they're going to always charge your credit card for advertising. So we just want to make sure if they're going to charge you for marketing dollars and that you have marketing dollars to spend on there, that you're going to let it go the furthest as possible. So if you have a marketing budget to spend on Facebook, let's make sure you know that you're having success with it. Because frequently we ask people, how is it going? Like, are you using Facebook? And they're like, I think it's going okay. Like, I get likes and I get comments. Or like, but are you physically meeting new people in your area? And they're like, well, I'm not sure. So we want to change that for you, because one of the things we're going to show you today, and this is really the center of this webinar, is we want to make sure that you have good ad performance. So we're going to show you the secrets to launching an ad to get really good lead flow. And then the conversation shifts. Like, once you have established good lead flow, then you have to learn how to build relationship. You have to learn how to get those people to know, like, and trust you. And one of the ways you do that is the way that right now I feel a little bit more connected to Dave, Danny, Steve, Roman on here, Liza. I don't feel as connected, sorry, to Donna, Aileen, Garrett. What's the difference? It's video. I'm talking to somebody like this, which changes that Facebook relationship from being intangible and impersonal to personable and tangible, and starts to grow our relationship over time. So we get stuck on that because we really like that end of things, building relationships. But first, we need to get new leads into your inbox using the Facebook Ads Manager. So two things. One, you need to build an ad that doesn't look like an ad and doesn't feel like an ad. That's the difference. You're not on there. If you look like an ad, people would become immune to ads and they scroll right past them. You need something that people click because they're going to get value, that's going to start conversation with you. So you're offering value in your ads. That's why the ads work. That's why people click on them. Two, this is the secret that not a lot of people know. This is a lot of people that have even been doing this for a while say it was an aha moment for them. Facebook makes a judgment call on your ad in the first 24 hours based on the randomized audience reaction to your ad. Meaning whatever people decide to do with your ad in that first 24 hours, Facebook then stamps your ad with a relevancy score. So that means it might not be your ad creative that didn't hit well. It might actually just be the audience Facebook showed it to. So we're going to show you two things. One, we're going to launch an ad effectively so that the creative resonates with the most people in the area that you're looking to target. That's the first thing we're going to walk you through. The second thing we're going to show you is why you need to split test your ad to target and customize your audiences so that your audience reaction is everything and can change your performance. So we're going to walk through those two things, and then we're going to make sure we finish up by showing you exactly how that seller template that we're launching right now works, so that you know there's automations going out on the other end of it. And we have a whole community of people that have put together some awesome scripts and stuff, because we want you to get your fingerprints all over those automations. So let's walk you through one, setting up a great performing ad, and then two, let's show you what the ad looks like so you can start to see what's going out on your behalf, because it is your brand and we want to represent it well. So let's make sure you are aware of what's going out when people click on these ads. So Marcus, let's find someone's account. So does somebody have an account that's in trial that you've connected to Facebook and you're ready to go that we can use? Anybody? Hands up. Romana put her hand up really quick. How do we say it properly?
Romana.
Romana. Okay. Romana, what's your last name? If you could put it in there and we'll find you.
Guito. It's spelled Guiteaud.
Are you finding that, Troy?
I didn't see his hands typing. I think he thought you were finding it.
I mean, I can, but I'm so used to Troy doing it now. So I'm like, hands off my computer.
Hold on a second.
And while we wait, I'll give you a thought to ponder. No, I won't. I won't do that.
Add it into the chat.
It's on it. He's got it. It's coming. He's sharing. Let's do it.
Rock. All right, Tampa. So we're going to go straight to the funnel builder. We're going to show you exactly what to think about when you create an ad. And how to essentially tap into that 15 miles. Because right now we're talking to somebody in the US. And everybody in the US really follow along on here, because it's going to be extremely important and imperative and how you get that audience to react to that ad and click through it. So here's the seller property valuation conversion template. It really is one of the best performing ad funnel templates that we've seen across the board on Facebook. Over the last 5 years, we haven't found anybody able to compete with this click to contact ratio given how many people test it on a monthly basis. You're seeing 15,000 people actively testing this particular ad and funnel. It's producing on average 61.7% click to contact ratio. That's unheard of in the industry. Now, what's cool about that is that you can see that you're going to naturally get lots of addresses. About a $2 average address comes out of this, about an $18 phone number, and about a $5.91 email. That's an average across North America. Every market's different. Every Facebook marketplace is different. You know, high end, low end, everything puts these numbers. It's just giving you kind of a perspective of what's even possible. And averages are only averages because they're not sometimes being tested properly. You want to beat these averages. You want to cut these numbers in half. You learn how to tap into Facebook's algorithm. You make very informed, quick, aggressive decisions right away to make sure that the ad is not being spent, because Facebook will always spend your money, right? We know that. You put an ad out there, they're going to spend your money. So if they're going to spend your money, make sure to keep it running. If it works, turn it off if it's not working. And we're going to show you what to be looking for. So simply by setting this up, you just click select. And the first thing you're going to look at is just this empty template of a map. And it's a dark image. It's a satellite image, so we'll probably light that up. But I like to look at this and quickly realize that we have to figure out, okay, where are we targeting? In this case, you had Tampa there, right? So the best thing, is it Tampa, Florida?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So the best thing to do first and foremost is to bypass this step altogether and go straight into the targeting. And you do that so you can see who obviously you're targeting, what that 15 miles looks like. So instead of typing in Tampa in your targeting location, I want you to click on that button, drop a pin. And when you drop the pin, you're going to click Tampa, right? And when you do that, you're going to open that up to see what 15 miles looks like in and around Tampa. And what you quickly come to realize is that you're not just targeting Tampa. So for everybody that's done ads on Facebook, you're kind of realizing now, because of the 15-mile radius, the Housing Discriminatory Act makes everybody have to stick with this 15 miles. So you don't want to say Tampa on the ad because you're dismissing that actually Facebook's going to be targeting Brandon, Apollo Beach, Town and Country, you know, Greater Northdale, and all these other areas. So looking at this, would you keep it right there in Tampa, or would you move this particular pin somewhere else?
Would move it. If I had the ability to extend it further, I definitely would, because that really doesn't cover too much of Tampa. Tampa Bay is huge, but I would move it north, so move it up.
Well, you can, the 15 miles is minimum. You can actually extend that up to 50 miles.
Okay.
So as long as you're willing to sell homes in this particular radius, and you can always expand the radius. 15 miles is just the minimum that you start with.
Okay. Then even from the original point, I would probably extend it to a 20-mile radius. And I think that that would cover the entire Tampa Bay area.
Okay, so see how you can just kind of change that right there? It opens up the radius, and then you go back and to look at the map, and then you can kind of start seeing what's possible. So then you would zoom out a little bit, and you can, you could go as big and wide. You can move it up, down, right? So you can say, okay, this is what 20 miles does. Do I want to have the whole outskirts near the beach on there as well? That's kind of where you start thinking.
That right there is perfect. We can leave it there.
Perfect. So now okay, I got to make sure if I have a 20 miles that my image is showing that entire radius. So in this case, you don't want to cut out Lutz or Land O'Lakes. You want to make sure that's in that image in case someone comes from that place in that targeting. Similarly with Sun City. So you take a quick look at this, look at, okay, Brandon to the east, obviously the water, Largo to the left. You click escape and then done. And this gives you a coordinate, a longitude, latitude. Okay. Now we can go back and create the image, because now that we've got that, we can start with the image we know what we're going to be covering with that 20 miles. So in this case, you can see it comes out just like this. I like to make it a map first and foremost because it lights it up. You can kind of really get a good understanding of it. And then you might, at this case, we knew what we were looking at. So we maybe even zoom in once to see what happens. Just to kind of look, probably the best, that's probably the better image because you got Land O'Lakes, just like as we discussed there. And Troy's just moving a little bit to kind of center everything. There's the Sun City that we looked at on the bottom. And then, you know, now that you know you're not just targeting Tampa, there's no point for you to actually put Tampa in the city and our neighborhood on the description. Instead, we're going to actually grab a home emoji from emojipedia.org. It's a website that Ira or anybody can put in there for you. It's got all your emojis. You can pull in any emoji you like, really. But the way we do this is when we throw the emoji there, it kind of just centers their eye on it. And we have fun, whether it's 1 or 3. Because now they're drawn, they know it, it's familial, right? We use maps every day, whether we're driving somewhere. It's so nice because it's not aggressively, typical real estate language and imagery. It just produces, that's why it works. And you're going to quickly see shortly here when we actually click on this particular ad from the leads perspective, the congruency between this image into the landing pages is very similar, which makes this ad unique. This would be your best practice. This is essentially setting up the ad for you to win because now you've got the 20 miles covered with the image. You no longer are saying Tampa on there. So you're pulling out that because now you're not just targeting Tampa, you're targeting the entire Tampa Bay area. And you click next. You click next again because you've got your pin drop. And with your permission, we'll launch this one. Would you like us to launch this ad for you?
Yes.
Okay. And the $9 a day is something we just start with. It's not something you're held, to, because it's just something that we found and tested hundreds of thousands of times over the last 5 years. It's a great way to engage the first few hundred people where it determines an algorithm. Logan's going to be talking about that shortly on, what you're looking for within that first few hundred people. The obvious is leads. The obvious is clicks. But the not so obvious, there's a couple things he'll talk about. You can leave the commission at this point because you can change that in the future. Don't worry about clicking on Instagram. We'll talk more about that when we get a one-on-one scheduled with you. And you deploy. And so once you deploy, you're going to have an ad that's set up with an automatic email and SMS drip campaign. Text messaging up to 5 text messages throughout the week. And an email drips that for you guys has an initial email, a day 3 email, and it actually is all built in for a full 9-month-long drip campaign. Now, we'll head into the ad section just right after this to show you where the ad is and how it's processing and what analytics and metrics you'll be looking at. You don't have to have your Facebook ad manager open. You're going to use the StreetText dashboard as your ad manager, and we're going to be measuring the analytics this way. And so I know you just came in and there's not much to look at on this one, but shortly you'll start seeing things like the cost per click, how many people have been reached, how much you've spent particularly on that ad, and the leads that have been generated, and it'll kind of start breaking that down based on your spend. Now, Logan, are you here? Logan. If not, we can kind of keep on going with the split test. So here's the ad. Now you can view your ad, and I don't know, you might want to try to view your ad, Troy, there. Because this gives you the perspective of the ad itself from the lead's perspective. But what I want to kind of get you to start realizing is they don't see, like, you got an amazing image, the cover photo, obviously we can see your brand, your picture, but remember, when someone's on their feed, usually it's from their smartphones, right? And with that, they wouldn't see anything to the left or right of this ad. It'd be a typical news feed that you'd see all your friends' updates in. So really, they're seeing just the tiny picture of you in the corner. They probably wouldn't register that in their mind because when you're scrolling down your feed, it's subconsciously, right? Like you're just like, scroll. Oh, I want to know what the value of my home. Oh, that's my area. Click. And now when we go into the click mode, this is where the subconscious, the passive scroll turns into the consciously giving you my information, starting with the address. So the best thing to look at is, okay, what is happening if I, as a homeowner, because we're going to take off our homeowners or our real estate hats for a second, and we're going to become these typical homeowners that are looking to see what they could sell their home for or how much the home is worth. So as I click through this particular ad, there's a couple ways to do it. You obviously can click on your own ad, but if you don't want to stay away from the paying for that click, I would just say click view your link here. And that takes you right into the first landing page as if you just clicked on that particular ad. And here's where it's really important to see, right? Ad imagery and landing page, the first one is very much similar. They're not being taken into some separate capture form or a Facebook lead ad where you're capturing all the information up front. This is being done starting with the very first thing that they want analyzed, which of course is the address itself. So when you click on this, you submit your property. It's powered by Google, so it makes it really easy from that person to put in their address, just like Troy's doing right here. And in that moment, analyze my property, that's actually being submitted into your dashboard. So no matter what happens, that lead is captured. That's what we were talking about, the click to contact ratio so high. That's what we're talking about, that $2 on average cost per address is. What we're telling you is that this is a dynamic lead capture. You're gonna get some people that are only address only, because you can see right here, this next step, you have to give email permission to correspond with that person. So they have to click on the box and provide their email. But this is a very important step, because in the term of digital door knocking, in this world that we live in, this day and age of virtual connections, where Ira was talking about in the beginning, hey, how important is it that you're there face to face? Well, the moment you submit your email is the moment you can have a video introduction sent out immediately. So from that perspective, super awesome, because you can be there at their home, introducing yourself, communicating how you're going to help them get that home value. Now, this is where kind of, Troy's going there now. You can see as he clicks in his email, there is that email. It's got a great open rate. You're going to be able to track the opens. It's got your little picture in there, but what could we do better? Of course, we can throw you there, right? Hey, Marcus from Remax, thank you so much for your Facebook home valuation request. I'll be working on it shortly. It could be that simple. It immediately changes the game, because it brings you to life and it allows them to see you as a person that's just being genuine and authentic and helping them. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. Know that as is, this is what's going to be sent out. What we want to do is get your email signature updated. What we want to do is consider throwing in an embedded video in that moment, because that's the idea. Like, if you can tap into a solid cost per email model, that's as if, like, no matter what happens, because when you go back to the funnel, yes, the icing on the cake is I'm going to learn about their home, their time frame for selling, updates, renovations, information, but of course we want their name and phone number as well, and that's going to be captured later, and that will activate your SMS feature. But at the very minimum, if we can get you introduced, no matter what happens in the process, that's going to be what I think is going to be the winning strategy for you and for everybody here. So the dynamic side of this is we're capturing a little bit of time. This is why you're going to have percentages of people that submit address, percentages of people go from address to email, percentage of people give you more information, which is why we need to drive a solid ad performance. The lower your cost per click is, the more clicks you get, the more leads of all varieties you get. So when you get this, a new kitchen, I want to sell, I'm just curious, don't put a lot of weight here. We find that this area, whether it says immediately or just curious, is a discovery place. They're not going to necessarily give you the full truth. I might want to just get my home value immediately. I might just be curious, but only just curious because I don't know you yet. I don't trust you yet. I don't want to just tell you that I'm going to sell, right? So the key is you got to create that moment so they feel comfortable enough to tell you the real truth. Because remember, you had stopped their scroll on your Facebook newsfeed for this moment of submission. Now it's all about that discovery and making them feel like they can trust you with that information and start a conversation with that experience process. So when you click next here, this is what activates your brand, right? And right now you have a couple places where you can actually brand better. Number one, there's an empty quotation mark area right next to your picture. So the way you update that is you go to your settings of your StreetText dashboard, and up there in the corner is a little wheel. And if you go to the wheel and then you click on profile top left, quickly just update your slogan. Your slogan, do you have a slogan?
No, not really.
Okay, we're gonna put something in there generic for now. just to show you. And then you can update it if you have something better that you want to put in.
Okay.
Okay, once you do that, Troy will quickly update that and show you what happens. It immediately changes. So when he goes back there and does a quick refresh, there it is, work with someone you can trust, right? And then there's one more spot right underneath the send me my value. You can pull in your Facebook reviews right there. If you have any Facebook reviews, it's worth it. It's worth a shot to check. So what you do is you go back to your Facebook or to your dashboard, you go into the settings, or is it on the drop-down menu now? Oh, there it is. Either way,
Yep.
Facebook pages, click on reviews when you get to the Facebook page, and it's loading. When it loads like this, usually means you do. And so when you get this, yep, you do. And so when you get this, look for something maybe more seller specific. And you got some good ones. Danielle is a good one. Maybe either one, you know, you can pick multiple. It'll kind of roulette through. But now that you've picked that, we can go back to that page again and do a quick refresh. And here's what it does for you. So now this is kind of a cool place because this is where the phone number and names are being submitted, right? So at this point, you want to have your brand there. You want to have a nice slogan, your Facebook review. It's going to give you a better opportunity to get more phone numbers and names. And apologies, guys, we can't do anything about your reviews from other places. It's got to be Facebook specific. It's a Facebook API. So send me my value. That activates Julie, and within 3 minutes, there'll be a text message being sent out on your behalf as if you had an assistant reaching out to this person looking for some information. And you're going to see that it's going to be activated shortly. We'll kind of show you how to work it, but it's kind of just role playing as Julie, your assistant. And it's a great way to get the conversation started because in 3 minutes, that leads getting a text from your assistant named Julie. And we choose a local number with you in mind. So they really feel like it's a local person reaching out to them. But it's not you reaching out to them, right? It's Julie, and you're going to see that shortly. Right? And now, if you go back into your dashboard, you're going to realize that you can go see what is sent out. There's an email drip campaign that's going to be sent out, as well as an SMS. So here's Troy that just came in. You can see that you can view that lead. So Troy's going to kind of just walk you through a couple things.
All right, I'm just trying to get rid of the ads, get out of the way.
Yeah. Like, whoa. So there, yeah, the key is you need to understand there's an automatic email being sent out and an automatic text message being sent out. And so that's the experience from the homeowner's end. So all we want to think about now is how do we create that experience so that there is no doubt, there's no ability to misinterpret or be confused by what that process is or supposed to be. Because you never leave anything up to misinterpretation, ever. Because everybody naturally is going to be on guard. Everybody naturally is going to say, oh, I was just curious. Or everybody naturally was going to say, you know, I thought it was an automated CMA or something. Unless you do something, you know, and show them a just quick example, Troy, of what could be there instead, what is even possible on changing that experience for that particular homeowner. I think that's the key. You get something like this where if you go to, is this Marley's example? Yeah, this is a great one. This immediately goes for the relationship.
Elevate Real Estate, I got your request for the home price evaluation and I am on it. Oh, and by the way, I left a link to my Facebook profile page below. I'll just be sending you a really quick friend request. Want to make sure you get a chance to meet me. I'll talk soon. Bye.
See, Marley's looking for the connection back on Facebook because Marley, you know, she's done a little bit of training and coaching on understanding Facebook can be used as a CRM. The idea is if you can get message history on Messenger with someone, now everything can be moved into that vehicle, right? Because Messenger is so powerful. You can see when people are seeing things, you can leave voicemails, you can leave video there. So it's all about where you're trying to create, it's you narrating the process, right? It's you becoming the opportunity to connect, and it's all about focusing on the relationship. Because if you can get them to talk about their home, what they love most about it, if there was a feature they would really highlight, what would it be? You know, maybe if there's one thing they would change, what would it be? There's a lot of great questions to ask that homeowner that makes it more about them and less about you trying to sell their home. And that's the key. We're trying to create a discovery moment, because we don't know what the true time frame is and what that true reason for that click was. Was it just curious? Are they looking just to find the value? Do they really just want to refinance? Or is it actually we're looking to sell, but we need some more understanding? We need to feel like we can trust you and feel like you're somebody that would connect with us and have our best interests in mind. Yeah, we'll just stop sharing for a second and open this up to a quick Q&A, because I think it's really important. And then Logan will kind of move into the split test, which is actually how you drive your cost per lead as low as possible, so that you can really have a great ad performance and then have fun with the conversion side because you have got leads coming in. Feel free to unmute yourself and just ask questions based on what you just experienced.
All right, I have a question. I actually, I started I'm on the trial period, and I got a lead come in from an ad, but it was just an address that came to my email. How would I get the accurate phone number, or how do I correspond with that lead?
Yeah, well, an address only you're going to have, right? There are going to be several different submissions, you know, with whether you use tax records to pull up that information, Spokio, True People Search, you name it. That'd be kind of the way to try to find out more information, and then just reach out to that person if you can find more information. We have some great mailers that we can show you as well. Obviously, you could always door knock that person if you really wanted to, but I would say work with your coach on that, because we have probably a half a dozen to a dozen strategies, including some phenomenal templates that people are using that are actually getting those people into appointments. So whoever your coach is, book that one-on-one. But if you want full leads, we need to actually test out the area properly. Where are you located, Dorian?
I'm in Florida, Orlando.
Okay, so typically what Logan's about to show you is there's a way of tapping into Orlando, and understanding, number one, if you start with the pin drop, figure out that 15 miles. And what Logan's about to show you is a split test. How do you find the best audience representation, the most amount of clicks, so that you can generate more leads with full information, not just addresses? And we're about to show you that shortly.
Gotcha. Okay, so basically, once you get everything, you just have to skip trace it. So you can create your own list in that sense.
You can, yeah. There's so many great ways to do it. I mean, I think it ultimately, sometimes we put ourselves in a box, but as if you become the detective a little bit, there's a lot of great ways to get that information started. And I always assume the best way to get it on the phone or talk to somebody is say, hey, you're probably just curious, randomly scrolling down your feed, clicked on my ad, looking to see what you could sell your home for, and you notice that you need an email. And oftentimes a lot of people could be a potential renter of that home and or buyer looking at that home. So you can't assume it's always the homeowner either. And that's why, you cross-reference that information and just try, having a discovery moment with that person to see what their true intention was. All right. Any other questions on that? All right, Logan, do you want to talk about the split test?
Certainly, yeah. It sounded like we might have had one more question there real quick. If anybody else, were somebody try to talk there?
I think there's a couple questions.
Erica's just asking about a replay. So you can request that from your coach for sure and get that out to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the next topic to discuss here would be our idea of a split test. And now we definitely look at things a little bit differently because our idea of a split test has been derived basically from our understanding of the Facebook algorithm. I know Ira touched on it a little bit already, Marcus has touched on it, but the true importance here of any ad you ever create, and this is going to serve everybody well here, regardless of whether you continue with StreetText or not, this is incredibly important information. As soon as you launch any ad on Facebook, Facebook needs to predict future relevancy. So let's say, for instance, we're using Orlando. Who cares, right? You drop a pin in the middle of Orlando and you do a 15-mile radius. Now let's say that within that radius, there's 500,000 people, right? Facebook needs to decide how relevant is this ad going to be? How well will it stand the test of time? After everybody in the audience has viewed the ad, how will that group have viewed the ad as a collective? So what they'll do is they'll take the first 500 people of any area, and I don't care if your area is 500,000 or 1,000 people, it's the first 500 people that see your ad that set that relevancy. As soon as relevancy has been set, Facebook says, okay, based on that relevance score, this is how much we're going to charge you on a cost per click basis. And when you're running sponsored ads, you're not paying per result in terms of emails and phone numbers or leads. You pay for every click, regardless of whether they become a submission or not. So again, within that first 500, it's very important how, as a collective, they view your ad. If it's more favorable than negative, well, Facebook then thinks your ad will stand the test of time and thus charge you a considerably less amount in terms of a cost per click. Whereas if the other happens, if the collective, that first 500, don't really react favorably to your ad, Facebook will allow you to keep running it, because trust me, they want your money, but they're certainly not going to be cheap. It's going to be an astronomical cost per click. So in order to play the game the right way, our idea of a split test is to build 3 ads at least, but 3 ads is my favorite, that are perfectly identical, nothing different at all. What you're split testing is that test audience, that first 500, because using the scientific method, you're always trying to keep as much control as you can and limit your variables. In this case, the one variable we can't touch is who Facebook first displays your ad to. So we'll let that be the variable, meaning that your ad image, the ad copy, the place that you're targeting, and the time you're running it at, all exactly the same. And then you let them compete against each other. So if you build 3 identical ads right now and target the same area, let them run until about this time tomorrow, you'll find that all 3 ads, though they're perfectly identical, will all have their own unique performance. So you'll then be able to say, okay, 24 hours of runtime, I've spent roughly $10 on each of these ads. Let's figure out which one hit the best test audience, the one that has the best cost per click, cost per lead, cost per email, the best quality leads, right? Then you'll be able to say, that's my winner, keep that ad going and pause the other 2. It happens very rarely, but it happens sometimes when all 3 ads, maybe none of them hit the right audience. Not a problem, nothing to worry about. You pause all 3 and start again. But if you do this the right way with the right imagery, the right targeting, the right ad copy, and all those other little things that we're showing you, the likelihood of you finding an ad that finds relevancy in your area is very high. And that's kind of what we find. And once you find that relevant ad, we're talking weeks, months, and oftentimes a year or more without having to make an adjustment to the ad. And if and when it does start to go down, maybe it's 7 months later, great, do it again. Build another split test. You could even use the exact same ad template and find, new initial relevancy again. So again, regardless of whether or not you continue with StreetText or not, make sure that you use this, apply this principle, because it works, and it works phenomenally well. So I'm going to open this up to some questions. We always get questions about this part because, again, most people's idea of a split test is I'm going to split test the creative, or should I run this in this area and this area and compare the areas? I mean, there's all sorts of ways to do a split test, but the easiest and best way of doing this is simply 3 ads, perfectly identical, nothing different at all. Let them all run against each other for 24 hours, pick your winner, and your coach will absolutely be here to help you pick your winner. So on that topic, or anything else that you guys have uncovered so far, is there any questions or anything so far? This might be the first time we won't get questions. Okay, there we go.
Does that mean whichever ad wins and you keep it going for 3, 6 months or even a year, then whoever was targeted specifically in that ad is the same person that's seeing that same ad over and over and over again for that time frame?
Not necessarily. In terms of the length you're going to keep that ad running, you're going to keep it running as long as it's successful. And we have 2 columns that you'll see on your ad section. You'll see the lifetime stats as well as the past 7 days. And if the past 7 days stats start to exceed the metrics that we're looking for, we would suggest you turn that ad off and move. In terms of who continues seeing it, once one individual is seeing your ad, Facebook's pretty good about not delivering that same ad that they've reacted to them over and over and over again. If they haven't clicked, and let me put it this way, Facebook relies on, I call them buckets, good, negative, and neutral. So if you've seen my ad, for instance, and you took no action on it, you're neutral, there is an opportunity you'd see my ad again because you didn't react favorably or unfavorably to it. So you're still in that neutral bucket, meaning you're probably going to see it a couple times and Facebook knows. Sometimes it's going to take somebody 3 or 4 views before they take action. So if you don't like my ad and you put an angry face on it, right, or you comment negatively, or you show Facebook a negative action, Facebook puts you into my negative box, and then not only will it avoid you, it'll avoid people like you, people who have similar interests, people who shop at the same places. Whatever Facebook knows of you and has in your profile, they'll use that information to avoid people of a similar nature. Whereas if you clicked favorably on my ad, right, you click, you comment, you share, you do something good, Facebook puts you in my good box and then says, okay, I'm going to find more people with similar interests to you. That doesn't mean you're going to see my ad over and over and over again, because we've already got a favorable reaction from you. So you should still be omitted personally. But again, people like you will hopefully be seeing my ad and reacting the same way that you did.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that too. One of the things you want to think about when you're setting up your ads, or you're working with your coach on setting up your ads, is please go to that template, go to ads, funnels, click on it, click select, go bypass just like we showed you the beginning map, and look at the drop the pin. When you drop the pin with that address or area that comes to mind, it may just make you feel like, you know what, I need to change this a little bit. This is not necessarily where I want to target. Because if you just let it do what it does, it's going to draw 15 miles around it no matter what. You can even say, hey, I'm going to target Orlando, but it's still going to draw 15 miles around Orlando. So the key is, if you go to the pin drop, you can now get an image and then start thinking about moving that circle to where that perfect audience, there's nothing perfect. You can't get perfect if you have to hit 15 miles, but if you know you're going to hit 15, you might as well direct that circle properly, find out where that immediate pin is, and then go back and change the image and use the emojis to help set up that ad. So that's why you have a coach, because we don't want you to go do it right now. We can give you the recording, kind of keep on seeing that. But start with the pin drop so you get a really good frame of what that audience looks like, because that's going to be your kind of image that you're going to be building, and the description itself. So for everybody that's trying to figure out what's best for them, like Steve, you in San Jose and so forth, you want to go to San Jose in that pin drop and start seeing what 15 miles looks like around San Jose. And then ultimately you can start deciding, well, is that my true pin drop? Do I want to move it to Campbell, through up to Milpitas? Do I want to move it down to Los Gatos, that type of thing? Because ultimately wherever you move that circle, you're going to be moving that 15 miles with you. Make sense?
Yes. But everybody's going to be starting off basically with that template that you guys are identifying as the one that has, what is that, 70% open ratio?
Yeah.
How many other people are going to be also using the same format using your services? So I guess my question is, how many people are also going to be seeing the same ads over and over? Because there's different people using, different agents using the same format.
There are absolutely different agents, but no one's like, the Facebook marketplace is so vast that you don't have to worry about competition. You know, I think a lot of people come from a background like Zillow, where you're competing for zip code exclusivity. When you have 15 miles, there's nothing to worry about. The cost per click is there for everybody. And that map, no matter what, works. So it's really more about your follow-up, because if you're driving a cost per click down low in a great model, then it comes down to you and the brand and your autoresponders and your personal follow-up, because that lead's not going to anybody else. So that's the big thing there. Not to mention, this is just a trial template. When you move beyond the trial, there's dozens of other seller, buyer, listing type of campaigns that you could run. Not to mention custom, right? We have a lot of great ones that are local to your market, like that bridge, for example. You could create an image with that in the background if you were targeting people in the Bay Area.
Yeah,
right?
just really quick, the one thing I want to double down on exactly what Marcus is saying, it's so incredibly important to understand, is that we leave this template open and one of the only ones available during trial, because we've put so much money behind it, you know, over the years, and we've tested, and we know that, you know, with a very, very, very high likelihood of success behind it, this is what we want people to be able to test. We know that this ad works, and it should work for everybody in almost any market. Now, if you ever encounter, you know, some opposition to that ad, maybe it's saturated in an area, whatever the case may be, not to worry. Exactly like Mark is saying, we have, I think, 36 other templates to choose from right now. And I run a custom ad class every Tuesday where I try to get as many people on there just sharing their ideas, and you have something unique you want to present, great. I can show you how to build it in 30 seconds or less using our templates that you don't have to go into, as Ira dubs, the labyrinth of frustration, and figure out, okay, what ad, creative do I go with? What objective type do I go with? Because there's, multiple different objective types. Do I build this as a lead ad, as a landing page ad? If I'm building it as a landing page ad, how am I building my landing pages along with it, right? Whereas that's what we can help with. Our mechanisms in place for you to come in and just dump your ideas into it. Your coach or myself on the custom ad class can help you shape that narrative, figure out what your call to action is, make sure that it's a relevant ad, use any imagery that you wish. We can customize these to make sure you are unique in your own space, no problem. Just understand that during trial, we're not playing a guessing game. We don't want to guess with your money. We want to have the highest likelihood of offering a service that we know works. So that's why we heavily suggest this style to get started. But then post-trial, know that you can start to test and try darn near anything.
What's the process for the trial? Do we speak with someone beforehand?
With the trial, this is essentially the starting ground. For people who haven't started a trial or who have just started a trial, we like everybody to come to this meeting just to get a good lay of the land. As soon as you've signed up for the trial and you've connected your account, you'll be assigned one of our 4 coaches, myself, Ira, Troy, or Marcus, and then we can help you from there. And every single one of you guys are going to have some unique questions and some unique situations. I'm looking for a very small neighborhood, or I'm trying to blow up and do a whole county. Not a problem. We can help you with your specific requests, but that's essentially the idea. You get started with the trial, you get 7 days of running one of these ads, make sure leads come in, work with your coach to start setting up your systems and your follow-ups, start coming to our other classes that focus more on lead conversion. And then if and when you're ready, there's no automatic, commitment into one of our platforms. If you come in for trial and you take no action at all, you're not automatically subscribed or registered into anything. It's a conscious decision you need to make. And when you're ready, you get to choose one of our 3 options that I was going to go over here in a second.
I have another question. I love the idea of set it, forget it marketing. It just makes everything so much easier for us. However, how do we assure that the ads are meeting the percentage quota, and is our coach going to be hands-on? Like, let's say the percentage goes below the 60 or 70% threshold. Are we getting a call or a message from our coach saying, hey, let's change your ad because it's not performing well, or let's expand your audience or something like that? Like, how will we know if we're not performing well?
We have systems in place and automations, and you're going to set those parameters in a sense yourself by when you're on the last screen of deploying an ad. There's a final box that says estimated deal commission value, so how much a deal in your area is potentially worth. Our metrics then will be different based on different commission values. So let's say, for instance, in the area that you're in, median value is what, probably 350, give or take?
I would say 280.
280, okay. So your average commission, you're probably bringing 63 to 6,500 for a deal, right? So at that rate, I would suggest to you, you want to be in and around $2 cost per click, upwards of $2.50 cost per lead. And really, I don't want to see you exceed $6.50 cost per email, right? Now, if you're finding the leads you're getting in are leaving phone numbers, they're high quality leads, people are responding to you, well, we can give a little bit more wiggle room on those metrics, of course, because I don't mind spending a little bit more money if the leads I'm generating are exactly what I'm looking for at the time. But keeping metrics in mind, there's a different value structure we're looking for based in different areas. Because again, where we live here in Kelowna, our median value is about 800, 860, right? So for me to sell a home, I'm 17 to 18 grand. Right? So I don't mind spending more money on leads, but it's cost effective still. So again, this is one of those things where we really want you to work with your coach. We can look at your area. We can help you understand and decide what those are. Now, on a long-term basis, you will get weekly emails from our system just reminding you, hey, here's what we see with your ad. There's a problem. This ad's doing great, whatever it is. So it's all automated on that side. And then on the coach's side, we're not just your coach for trial. We are your coaches long-term as long as you're with our system. What we rely on is you guys reaching out. If you get one of those emails and it's saying, okay, my ad's suffering and you're not sure how to fix it, book a call with your coach. We'll help you fix it, or keep coming to our meetings. We have endless amounts of training and tutorials and teaching opportunities. We want to make sure you guys all know exactly what you're doing. And if at any point you're struggling, you reach out to your coach, we book a call, and we help you with whatever you're looking for. Make sense?
Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces. I think ultimately start with the address that you want us to pin drop from. We'll help you set that up. Send it to your coach right now, right? That's a great place to start. Or at least go there and kind of get an understanding of what that's going to look like. And then with that, we'll set up your one-on-one. We'll get you into our StreetText Facebook group. I think we got some background noise somewhere.
Sure.
Oh, got that.
I got it.
Got it? Okay. And we'll get you in our Facebook Insider group. We got a cool course called the StreetText Academy. And then I'm going to pass this over to Ira. This is the longest I haven't seen Ira talk in a long time. So let's get you to wrap it all up for us here, Ira.
Yeah, I think one of the things we didn't outline at the beginning that we usually say to you right away, because I saw halfway through people were like, how do I do this? How do I do this? Like they're trying to follow along. This was all the information. It's like trying to eat an elephant. You need to eat it one bite at a time. Your coach will help you with the next bite. So like take everything you learned here, book with your coach. If you don't have a coach because you haven't started a trial, so just start your trial. Once you start your trial, you'll get a message from us. Any message from StreetText, just message them back. Are you my coach? Who's my coach? And they'll send you a link to get booked into their calendar. And then we'll help like get your ads set up, but we'll also help you with all the resources we have. There's people who are already doing this really well. Take their scripts, take the things they've been doing, and just repeat what has created success for them. Define your process. So let's show you the pricing and how all the pricing platform works. If you log into your account, that first screen that you see is your welcome screen. When you scroll down to the bottom of your welcome screen, there's a little button that says ready to sign up. And that highlights our 3 different prices. Now, we are bent towards wanting you to commit to the long term because we know that long term is where you're going to have the greatest success. You have the mindset that the more people you're putting into your funnel across time, I'm meeting people on Facebook. So Facebook means I'm meeting all sorts of people. So the longer you commit, the more success you're going to have because the more people you're putting into your funnel. So our 1 year is $19.20. That covers your costs of the platform for the entire year, and then it renews at $160 a month. Then the 6 month is $1,020. It renews month to month at $170 after that 6 month term. And then the 3 month is $600 and it renews month to month at $200 a month. People like Donna Swansea, who was a school teacher that became a real estate agent, she's done 200 plus deals with StreetText. So she has put a whole course together that shows her process. You get that course for free with the 1 year membership. But there's people like Jennifer and people like we have Wendy, all these generous, crazy people on our masterminds that are showing you how they're doing extremely well on this. Jennifer shared a story about how she met someone during the height of COVID through a Facebook ad, how she virtually walked through their home with their phone, helped them list their townhome. And she was driving in a car, sharing a video in our insider group of her going to help this person now buy a home. So she goes, during the height of COVID, I met someone through a Facebook ad. I helped them sell their home. I helped them buy a home. She goes, she's also become a really good friend. She's like a person that I'm going to actually have as a friend now. So people like that are sharing how they're doing it, meeting people on Facebook and translating that into actual real relationships. That's what we want to connect you to. So let's get you a good working ad. That's step number 1. So let's make sure your ad is getting you people in, and then let's connect you to our community so you can learn how to create conversation, build trust, and grow your sphere of influence in your area with the people that are coming in through your funnels. Okay? Any other questions as we wrap this up?
One more question. Sorry. on the cost. So we're looking at the membership fee and then whatever it is billed each month. So within whatever our ad budget is, we'll just add that on top of it monthly.
Yeah, thank you for throwing that in. Usually we do cover that, and I sometimes miss it, and somebody always comes in and jumps in. Yeah, we want to establish marketing budget on your trial so you know, like, is $9 a day going to be a great like price to run with? Do I want to increase that for my market? Do I want to decrease that? Because you have to cover your Facebook ad budget on top of your StreetText platform costs. Great question. So let's get you booked in. Let's get you using this. We just simply want to help you use it to its best of its ability. So then you can say, this is a fit and I want to run with this, because we want you to be interactive with it, because we know that's what's going to create success. And we're just after helping people be successful and not have to be at the mercy of that dang labyrinth of frustration, the Facebook ad, or just even someone else running everything and getting not great results for you. You get to run it and learn how to run it and be the master of it and feel a little bit more powerful than you have maybe in the past. So we'll chat soon. Good to see y'all. Have a good day.